You know, long before Rock of Ages hit the big screen, and before it was a smash on Broadway, it started way back in 2004.
It actually started as a seed of an idea from producer Matt Weaver. And from there, he convinced friends and family alike to follow his vision. And here's how it all went down.
I just knew that I wanted to make a musical, a stage musical, one for guys that guys would go to, and I wanted to make a musical that had these songs on it.
I get a phone call from Matt Weaver, said, we want to do a show, and we want to do it with, like, rock songs and power ballads, and do you have an idea? And I was like, yes, I do. Yes, I do.
She goes, Matt, I just worked at the Roxy for 3 months. We have to set it in a club on the Sunset Strip in the 80s.
The director, Kristen Hange, and I, we did the Pussycat Dolls live at the Roxy. We spent about 2 months here.
It just seemed primed for a Broadway musical about all the people that come to this one place in the world to, like, live out their rock and roll dreams.
Thank God for Kristen, because she also found Chris Lorenzo. She said he's a theater guy, he's a rock and roll guy.
Matt had sent us all 4 CDs that we started with, and those same 4 CDs are the ones that went to Chris.
He looked at the lyrics of all these songs and all this music, and he just looked at it like literature. And that's where he found the stories and the characters and the vibe.
I'm Drew.
Sherry.
You know, she's a small-town girl, he's a city boy. Okay, there's 2 of our characters right there.
As the concept for the show started to take shape, the producers called in a musician to weave these songs together and help tell the story.
Dave Gibbs did all the original arrangements and orchestrations.
The music itself was inherently flamboyant. When you listen to We Built the City on Rock and Roll, like, how was this song not in a musical? It just sounds like a musical. It's big and it's got stuff going on all over it.
Gibbs, being so talented on his own, came up with these mashups with Chris, and Chris with the lyrics. And that stuff is still in the Broadway show from the very beginning, and a lot of it is in the movie.
We knew that the biggest challenge at that stage was going to be getting the rights to the music, because all these artists had to sign off and say that we could use their songs in this musical.
We had to really trust that the people that were putting this story together were going to use our songs with some kind of tenderness and respect.
To seal the deal with the musicians, to use their music, the producer staged a shortened version of Rock of Ages. As far as finding a venue, the choice was pretty obvious.
Rock of Ages started in a bar. It really did. It started in a bar. This particular bar, called King, became available to us. They were really easy to work with.
So when we performed in the bar on Hollywood Boulevard, Janet Billig was on the phone trying to get anyone affiliated with the music.
From every song, we invited the lawyer, the manager, the publisher, the publicist, the best friend, and the artists themselves.
As a songwriter, I love the idea that there was a show being developed focusing on the 80s, which was my time.
I just think it was like, oh, sure, give them the rights. You know, it's never going to happen.
With the rights to the music secured, the producer's ultimate goal was coming into focus.
Anyone in our world knew that you've got to make it in New York, you make it there, you can make it anywhere. I know that's cliche, but it's totally true. The goal was to go to Broadway.
I was just sort of off American Idol, and I remember meeting Matt Weaver.
Constantine came in, and he was fantastic.
They brought me in for Stacey Jacks originally.
He was so subtle, so funny, and I was like, oh, there's our Drew.
They needed someone that people could relate to, an underdog-like hero type. And I think that that's someone that I kind of became coming off American Idol.
Konstantin Maroulis being cast in the central role was an audacious choice in the sense that if you're going for a Broadway crowd, you might want to try to cast a Broadway singer. What I think was so surprising is that he acted the role with this real sweetness and simplicity that, you know, was really winning.
Despite all of this success, the Rock of Ages producers never lost sight of their ultimate goal.
January of 2009, we were out there looking for theaters. And I have to think it was almost like, you know, these guys from LA come in, you know, they apparently have money, they want to do this 80s show, let's take their money. I don't think anyone ever believed in it.
The jukebox musical is a phenomenon of the last 10 or 15 years that really has sort of been a blight on Broadway.
So guys, we're not going to get any love from the traditional Broadway community. We're not going to get any love from the New York Times. Forget the Tony Awards.
You're going to be the people, you know, from Jersey and Staten Island or whatever that were going to take the train in on Friday or Saturday night, and our musical was going to be the one that they went to.
When we opened on Broadway in April of 2009, I was still giving that speech. And, you know, it's the classic scene from a movie with the New York Times guy, and everybody's waiting nervously. You know, there's the one empty seat, and he finally comes in, and he literally is sitting there stone-faced the entire time. And I was like, okay, I was ready for this, it's fine.
I'll admit that I went in feeling a little bit dubious and was completely blown away, as I suppose many of those characters in the show would say, by how much I enjoyed it. I think it was a really, it was a revelation is what it was.
And 2 days later, we get a love letter from the New York Times. I mean, it was a 10 out of 10. It was a 12 out of 12. It was the best review you could have ever had. And 2 weeks later after that, we got 5 Tony nominations. Best musical, best director, best actor.
It's not a genre that gets any respect. I think what was surprising about Rock of Ages is that people were not expecting it to be done with such cleverness, with such, you know, wit.
New Line was now ready to take this Broadway smash to the big screen. First order of business, finding a director. The choice, Adam Shankman.
When I was approached by New Line about making this movie, I said, you know what, let me go see it. What struck me was, first of all, the audience was having the best time I'd ever seen because everybody knew all the songs. And the other thing was, it was all like straight guys and their girlfriends. And I was like, this is an interesting challenge. If I can actually make a musical film that straight guys are dragging their girlfriends to, there's something that just literally grabbed me about that.
In June of 2012, Rock of Ages hit theaters, capping an 8-year journey and allowing us to join the story.
As amazing as this has been for all of us, we will always remember Rock of Ages' humble beginnings as it started in a bar.